What is going on, everybody? And welcome to another edition of College Football Showdown presented by Prime Sports World on the late night tip here from Chicago. I'm your host, Israel Rivera. There goes Christian Simpson from the Daily Blitz.blog, and there goes Matt James. Please like, share, and subscribe to the podcast here at Prime Sports World as we bring the heat 24/7, especially college football 24/7. We're here every Friday all season long. And this is week 4, gentlemen. Week 3 in the books. Week 4 is upon us. Already started with Oklahoma State. Mike Gundy should be fired after tonight. Just letting y'all know that right off bat. And yeah, lots to talk about. No, seriously. Let me tell you something, man. Bro, how in the world do you skate by this season, right? You're starting quarterback. You put all your eggs in one basket. You don't even get your freshman quarterback, this kid Zane Flores, whoever he is. Bro, this cat can't even complete a pass 10 yards downfield. How you got a Big 12 scholarship, bro? There's a bunch of kids that could go out there and probably play better football than that. Probably I got to look at what high school he's from, but probably some small town Texas, Oklahoma high school ain't play a damn lick of good football in high school. Then he go to the Big 12 and you losing to Tulsa?
At home.
Yeah. Y'all went 0-9. Y'all went 0-9 in the Big 12 last year with Ali Gordon. Bro, time for you to go.
I mean, we've been kind of going off and on talking about chopping this head off with Mike Gundy over the last couple of years.
Everybody.
I mean, yeah. I mean, as you mentioned, it's like you bring in some freshmen that, you know, like.
Let's see where he's from. I gotta see. It's mind-boggling, bro. You remember that? You remember that freshman quarterback from Wisconsin last year, Christian?
Mm-hmm.
He was god awful.
Yeah,
he was from like some small school, high school. He put up like crazy numbers.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I think that's what's been keeping the Wisconsin Badgers back. Like everything else has been set in stone there for them. They can run the ball. We all know what their bread and butter is going to be. They're going to run the football. They're always going to have one of the 3 or 4 best offensive lines in the country, and they play good defense. They just have gotten inconsistent play from the most important position, and unfortunately, that's a trend that travels around football, not just the college. It happens in the NFL.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Where's this kid from? This kid is from Gretna, Nebraska. He's a 3-star. He was the 27th quarterback overall. He was the number 2 quarterback in Nebraska. I don't know how good of football they play in Nebraska, but it ain't for him to be the second quarterback out of Nebraska. in his class, which was class of 2023. Yeah, Nebraska don't play good football. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But let's be real, bro. Let's look at the rest of this week, man, before I keep going. Cause I'm about to look up Max Preps and I'm gonna see where Gretna, Nebraska is. I'm just going off on mugs nowadays because I can't do this. I cannot watch another low level high, bro. You should be playing in the MAC. Remember that kid from Wisconsin? I forget his damn name. He's playing in some
Tyler Van Dyke.
No, it ain't. No, it ain't
It
Van
wasn't.
Dyke.
No.
No, it's some the other kid from Nebraska. He was from Wisconsin. He was a freshman quarterback. The kid is playing like FCS football now, bro. This is a top 20 team in Nebraska. You know what their national rank is, bro? Hold on, back when he was the quarterback, 2022, 2023. Let's see. They was the number 6 team in Nebraska. All right, they was doing something. But this team right now is ranked 1,544th nationally, bro. I don't know what level of Nebraska football they're playing, but it ain't that good. Anyways, I just had to go off on that because I'm like, I can't believe how bad Oklahoma State has become. I've always seen them always top 25 program, very good program. And this guy Mike Gundy has really ran it into the ground the last 3 years, and I'm pretty sure a bunch of Oklahoma State faithful can allude to the same thing with his terrible recruiting, with him not going into the portal fast enough or getting guys from the portal. I mean, shit, I would have threw all the money I could at Nico Iamaleava. He fits their spread offense perfectly. I mean, shit, you playing in the Big 12, ain't no defense being played in there. I mean, let's be real, guys. Come on now. Anyway,
yeah. Look, you had to come to the pulpit tonight. You had to get some stuff off your chest, huh?
I did, because I just can't stand when these quarterbacks from these low level schools in high school put up all these damn numbers. They rank, they go to 7-on-7. We got this 7-on-7 AAU fucking culture in high school football, and it's terrible, bro. It's terrible. You got kids being ranked higher than they really should be. You know what I'm saying? Because of what they do on them 7-on-7 football. You know what I'm saying? They playing in these little 8-man leagues in Texas and all this other stuff. You know they got 8-man football, right? It's crazy. It's crazy, bro. Like, what are we doing out here? And we giving these kids scholarships? Like, we giving these kids Big 12 scholarships. Big 12 scholarships. Like, listen, dude, you can't even complete a 10-yard pass. You've been at Oklahoma State for 3-4 years, bro. You can't complete a 10-yard pass? Like, let's be real out here. I'm like, bro, Mike Gundy, you gotta go. Anyways, bringing in to the week 3 headlines. Number 6, Georgia wins a thriller in overtime versus number 15, Tennessee. And this was the game of the week last week, and it ended up actually being the game of the week. Sometimes the games of the week that we pick don't end up actually being games of the week, Christian, and fulfilling all the headlines and all the hype going into a game. But this one fulfilled every single headline, all the hype, all into this one game. It was a hell of a game as Georgia won in overtime, 44-41. Just going into some stats, Gunnar Stockton looks like the second coming of Stetson Bennett. No cap. 23 of 31, 304 yards, 2 touchdowns. He's even getting it done on the ground, 38 yards, a touchdown on the ground. Nate Frazier led all rushers for Georgia with 73 yards. And on the other side, you got Joey Aguilar, who continues to impress all season long, especially at Tennessee. It's like the perfect fit there at Tennessee. 24-36, 371 yards, 4 touchdowns. Did have 2 interceptions. Chris Brazil continues to have a hell of a season for Tennessee. big wide receiver, 6 catches, 177 yards, and 3 touchdowns, 6'5", 200 pounds. He looks like this kid, Chris Brazil. This kid, you know who he remind me of? He remind me of the guy I said that was one of the best wide receivers of this generation. And David had to tell me that it was DeAndre Hopkins, but I said it was Mike Evans.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
And this Mike Evans.
You know, I'll give you one better. I see a little Brandon Marshall in his game, a little bit, but nah, I can see why you would say Mike Evans. But nah, just looking at this game, man, I was absolutely thrilled to preview it. I got to give Tennessee credit because they came out and they hung 21 points up on Georgia. I mean, they were using tempo. And what do I always say? The bully don't like to get bullied. Using tempo, not allowing that defense to huddle up and come up with a formation. They just kept their foot on the gas. And, you know, Tennessee looked to be in control of this game. But what Tennessee did wrong, they didn't close the door. They let Georgia kept knocking at the door and knocking at the door. And it ended up going into overtime. And the one thing I like that Georgia did in this game when they ultimately end up winning the game is, look, we're not going to be cute. We're going to run this ball down your throat. And that's exactly what they did, feeding Nate Frazier the football. And I got to give Gunnar Stockton a lot of credit. First true road start in Knoxville in a rivalry game. Georgia showed that they're still the class of the SEC. What a game. And this is now Josh Heupel is 0-5 against Kirby Smart. There was one he was going to get. It was going to be this one.
And we talked about Tennessee getting after the quarterback as well. I mean, in this game alone, they had 4 sacks in this game alone. 1.5, really 2 sacks by Caleb Herring, another sack by Joshua Josephs. Both of those guys are just excellent edge rushers for them, premier edge rushers in the SEC. But yeah, Georgia is, I mean, I told you, Christian, I believe this team is going to win the national championship. I told you from the get-go. I think this team is destined. I think Kirby got this team on a string. I think he got them playing revenge football this season. You know, got a whole off season with Gunnar Stockton, and the offense is starting to click along with that defense as of right now.
But I will say this, Izzy, there is a part of Georgia that does concern me, and that's their secondary. I mean, look at how many times Joey Aguilar was taking shots and attacking this secondary left and right.
Well, it's crazy that you say that because, you know, they have a solid. They're supposed to have one of the better secondaries in the league in the SEC, but you know, going against those two big guys. I mean, dude. You know, I mean, let's be real, bro. Like this Tennessee team, like there's not many people that are gonna like stop Chris Brazil. And you know, there's not many people that are you know that are going to stay in front of him. You know, and especially when you throw those, you know, he's a great route runner. He's a dude that can, you know, go over the top on you. And I mean, this is a Tennessee team that has a lot of talent offensively. So but I do agree in the nutshell that every dog has his day. But I think that this Georgia secondary, as the season goes along, I think it'll impress you a little bit more.
Yeah, I think they're going to get it together because, Kirby is the best coach in the country for a reason. And what's not working for them, he's going to make sure they tighten it up when it matters most. Like, they'll be fine, I think, for that stretch run.
Mm-hmm. Matt, any thoughts on this game?
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, I mean, going off kind of what both of you guys have been saying, I'm starting to believe with Georgia being, you know, a true championship caliber team, and Kirby Smart is getting this thing rolling. Especially after that quick start, Tennessee coming out, running their offense. But it's all about adjustments in this game, and Kirby Smart is one of the best at it, and he slowed them down when they needed to in that second half. And unfortunately, it all came down to a missed field goal for Tennessee there at the end that killed them and pretty much finished them off. So, I mean, once that went into overtime, that defense was not going to. They're not going to allow them in the end zone at that point.
Yeah,
So,
and
yep.
like Christian said, I mean, the secondary, and like I said, man, he thinks that the secondary's of the weak spot. That might be true, but I mean, I think KJ Bolden, Dalen Everett are some of the best, defensive backs in the SEC, in my opinion. And I mean, like I said, man, it's hard to stop a guy like Chris Brazil. He runs great routes. He's big. He's fast. He's physical. He's 6'5", 200. I mean, bro, that's a shooting guard out there trying to, run it
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
I mean, those are the type of guys that go up against that number one corner in the NFL too. And, the Mike Evans, the Brandon Marshalls, Calvin Johnsons back in the day, they're going to get their stats. I mean, they're the bigger guys that know how to go get that ball wherever it's at. But the main thing is just sticking to it throughout that game. That's how, you have to do it. Take it when you can get it for the defensive backs. And the fact that they were able to slow them down and get more of the pass rush going and pressure and slowing things down. Good. I mean, that does and did help the secondary kind of get into more of a groove there in the second half to keep that game within reach at the end there.
And Josh Heupel does a great job at getting his number one wide receivers going. I mean, we saw a couple years ago with Christian, help me out. He's on your New York Giants.
Jalen Hyatt.
Jalen Hyatt. Yes, there you go.
And it's so funny, Izzy and Matt, that you guys bring up. We're talking about this game. As I'm watching this game last week, I was so reminded of that Alabama and Tennessee game a couple of years ago when I think Tennessee put up 52 on Nick Saban, and that was the Jalen Hyatt game. That was Hendon Hooker. That was Jalen Hyatt. And Alabama lost that game by a field goal.
Yep, and it was a pretty long field goal, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
But I think Tennessee will bounce back, losing one game against Georgia, who I think is going to be a national champion contender, obviously, and probably I think my favorite to win it is not bad at all. So we're gonna look out for them. Next game we got on the slate, Texas A&M, number 16. Texas A&M went into touchdown Jesus down in South Bend and came out with the victory. And this was, if we had a second game of the week, this is the second game of the week right here. Because my Lord, what a back and forth affair with this game. And if you don't know who Marcel Reed is, now you know. If you don't know, now you know. Real stuff. Marcel Reed, 17 to 37, 360 yards, 2 touchdowns, an interception, 37 yards on the ground. He actually was the number one dual threat quarterback coming out of high school, when he did come out. But what a game by this kid, Mario Craver. 7 catches, 207 yards, and a tutty against my Notre Dame Fighting Irish. They just couldn't stop. They couldn't slow down this Texas A&M offense. In the second quarter alone, 3 drives, 3 touchdowns. The one drive they did have got off that fumble. They took a knee to go to the second half. But, I mean, even when Notre Dame, punched them back and, took the lead with 2 minutes left or whatever, Marcel Reed marched them down 13 plays, scored a touchdown with little to no time on the clock left as Notre Dame loses this game. CJ Carr is getting better. CJ Carr is getting better. 20 of 32, 293 yards, a touchdown, 1 interception. They opened it up. And that man, Jeremiah Love, he opened it up to 23 carries, 94 yards, a touchdown. Jadarian Price, 2 touchdowns. As they ran the ball 39 times, Christian. And I like what I saw out of Notre Dame because they play physical football in this game. But defensively, you said it last week. You've been saying it all season. They're missing some key guys on that defensive line, and it's showing.
Yeah, they really are. I mean, Howard Cross was such a difference maker for Notre Dame. He was that guy that I always say, he's your lane eater. He's your guy in the middle of your defense that can command a lot of attention. And I tell Matt this all the time. When you have a guy who can be that lane eater and command a lot of double and triple teams, one, I think he's a sacrificial lamb. But what does that also do? That opens everything else up for everyone else. Those edge rushers, they're able to get home. Those linebackers, they're able to roam around from sideline to sideline. They can fly to the ball. They can play downhill. They can blitz because you can't double and triple team everybody. But my biggest concern, you guys, when it comes to Notre Dame, is their secondary. And they're a team that prides themselves on playing what? Man-to-man across the board. I would have played a little bit of zone with a man scheme on that last touchdown that Marcel Reed threw to the tight end. But how about Mario Shaver? I mean, what a game this kid had. He had over 200 yards receiving, and it seemed like Texas A&M pretty much told you what they were going to do, which was we're going to get him the ball, and we're going to keep getting him the ball until you can stop him. And they couldn't do it.
Matt.
Yeah. I mean, DJ Carr, my goodness. I mean, the first two games coming into the season, you get road game to Miami, who's, title contender right now. Then you get Texas A&M, I mean, who's, very difficult to play wherever they're at. And, I mean, big kudos to Marcel Reed. I mean, he goes into South Bend, which is a very difficult place to play, and always has been, no matter what, level, Notre Dame's playing. I mean, it was a hell of a game. I mean, it was just a back and forth battle, and yet again, it came down to the kicker, a missed extra point. In this one, Notre Dame grew, and Marcel Reed kept his composure, took him down the field, and gave them the win at the last second.
So I also want to point out that this running back from Texas A&M had 3 touchdowns, and Christian brings up a big point about Howard Cross and some of that Brian Young, a lot of those guys, or not Brian Young, but some of those guys, not Bryce Young, but a lot of those other guys that are coming on, because Bryce Young's still on the team, but a lot of those other guys that moved on to the league or either transferred or whatever the case is, or graduated. I mean, it makes a big difference when it comes down to the interior of that defensive line. Don't get me wrong. I think Notre Dame has great pass rushers. You know what I mean? I think they got guys that can get outside and rush the passer when needed. I don't think this is a great matchup per se with Marcel Reed, but in the end, they're going to have to sew up that interior, that defensive line. Either you're going to have to bring more blitzes. You're going to have to, keep a big nickel in the box. But then that, opens up, over the top. But they're going to have to do something because right now it looks like they're getting bullied out there.
Yeah, they really are. Like, I see a defense that's getting pushed off the line of scrimmage 4 and 5 yards per play. But see, your point, Izzy, I think blitzing will furthermore hurt Notre Dame, because if you blitz, one, that shows you that you can't get home to the quarterback without sending multiple guys. I mean, we talk about it all the time with the Philadelphia Eagles and what they did against the Kansas City Chiefs in the Super Bowl. They got home to Patrick Mahomes with just 4. And they got a spy in the middle of the field. And then that secondary, I can always read defenses by looking at the safeties. You see one safety, it's cover 1. You see 2 safeties, it's cover 2. So they're playing zone, and then it's a man shell underneath. Just think about it. If they blitz, the other team's just going to adjust. They're going to be like, okay, look, we're going to come out with max protection now. We're going to run it right at you. We're going to get rid of the ball quickly. So that could backfire on Notre Dame.
Yeah, and it really can. I totally get it. I mean, and like I said, I think they're better on the edge. I mean, I like Howard Cross with like a guy like Jordan Botello, right? Who was injured at the end of the last year. I don't know how healthy he looks this year. Doesn't look like he's getting enough push on that line. Doesn't look like he's got explosiveness, or the same explosiveness as last year. So, with 2 losses for Notre Dame, let me ask you guys a question. Can they recover and make it to the CFP without being in a conference now?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think they
went
can.
out.
Go ahead.
They have to win out, but they don't
Yeah.
have a strong enough schedule. They play Purdue, Arkansas, Boise State, NC State. They better hope USC keeps winning because, and we'll talk about USC a little bit at the end of the show, maybe, or towards the end, but they're ranked in the top 25. They better hope USC keeps winning so that can be a ranked matchup so that it looks good on the resume. Boston
They have to have a
College,
convincing
Navy,
win too.
Pitt, Syracuse, Stanford. The rest of their schedule is weak, guys.
Yeah,
It's
I think
terrible. You have to blow everybody out from the rest. You have to blow everybody, just like how you did after you lost against Northern. You have to blow everybody out. You have to have the highest point per game differential in the nation in order for the CFP committee to be like, we're gonna put you in the CFP.
Yeah, no, I think they definitely can. I think they can run the table and they can go on another run once again. But the offensive game plan is simple because look, all 3 of us watched this game. Feeding Jeremiah Love and Jadarian Price, they have to be the bellcaps of this offense because CJ Carr is still acclimating and he's still trying to learn this system left and right.
Yeah. 2 losses this season so far, a total of 4
if
points.
both somehow A&M makes it as one of the ACC teams, and I'm going to say Miami wins the ACC.
And they're
those
a top
are 2 losses that are honestly
not bad losses. Yeah,
not at all.
Yeah,
so that's why I say absolutely. I mean, you're possibly the only 2 loss team to have an actual shot at it outside Miami, of the SEC.
Against Miami, Matt, I think the game feels like that loss feels like because I feel like Miami had more control over that game as opposed to this Texas A&M game where it was like kind of nip and tuck, back and forth. The pendulum was swinging. Whoever has the ball last, it felt like whoever has the ball last is going to win the football game.
Yeah, absolutely. But if they look at the situations too, CJ Carr playing first game on the road, Miami.
Yeah.
Not like they got blown out or anything in that game. They kept it within reach.
Yeah.
The time.
You lost to 2 teams that are probably Miami's ranked number 4 this season so far, and Texas A&M is ranked in the top 10 this week. You lost to 2 top 10 teams in the year by a total of 4 points.
Mm-hmm.
So, they're competitive. They're one of the better teams in the nation, and I do think that 2 losses isn't bad, but I feel like you do you can't have close games against maybe one game could be close, and that's against USC. All those other games cannot be close. You have to blow those teams out by 3 touchdowns or more. In my opinion, that's just my opinion, no. Because every year we always talk about Notre Dame's not in the conference. Notre Dame has an easy schedule outside the first 2 or 3 non-conference games that they have, or not non-conference games, but outside of the regular scheduled games that they usually have every year, which is like Navy and USC, and they play
Stanford,
they play Stanford and they play Purdue, you know what I'm saying, and you know what I mean. It's like these they have these contractual games. And they're all against weaker opponents. You know what I mean? And it's like it's probably time to really start talking about getting into a conference, especially in this era. and that's always been my gripe against them. I honestly I would love for them to schedule Michigan again, and
That would be fun. I mean, get a home and away with Michigan
thank God.
going again.
I said, and thank God they ain't playing Ohio State this year. Get Ohio State in the regular season this year. So
Them and many other schools.
yeah, absolutely. Anyways, moving on to the next game, we got Florida versus LSU. As DJ Lagway threw 5 interceptions against number 3 LSU Tigers, as they dropped 20-10. This game really didn't even seem any type of close. I mean, it was 13-10 game at half, and then all LSU needed was 7 points. But DJ Lagway, 33 of 49, 287 yards, a touchdown, 5 interceptions. As LSU pretty much got whatever got enough to beat Florida. You can see the talent on Florida's defense a little bit, but just that offense for Florida is just not there yet. They can't run the football. Is it time to start thinking about Billy Napier getting the hook, Christian?
Oh, absolutely. I know a couple of guys who would be like tailor-made for this job. I think Kenny Dillingham would be absolutely perfect for what they're doing.
Hey.
And look, Matt, he has experience coaching in Florida. That's where he got his start. So he'd be familiar with the area. He knows how to recruit. And what do I always tell you guys? It's a young coach's game now. He's 35 years old. I think his players would relate to him a little bit more. These guys can't relate to Billy Napier. It just seems like they don't want to play for him. To me, when you want to play for a coach, you leave everything on the field. It just seems like these guys don't care. They're lethargic. There's no effort. There's no intensity. There's no energy. And DJ Lagway threw one of the worst interceptions I've seen in all my years of throwing football. Of watching football, why would you throw in triple coverage? You know which one I'm talking about.
You know what? I saw a meme. I think I sent it to the group where it was a Florida fan, and he was like, "Man, I had Anthony Richardson, DJ Lagway, and who was the other quarterback? I can't remember what his name was." He's like, "Man, I seen enough interceptions."
Graham Mertz.
It wasn't Graham Mertz. It was the other dude, the other dreadhead before Anthony Richardson. It was Emory Jones. Emory Jones. And he was like, "Man, I had Emory. I got to see Emory Jones, Anthony Richardson, and DJ Lagway. Man, I done seen enough interceptions for my whole life."
Yeah.
What in the world?
This is gonna be saying a lot. The last quality quarterback that Florida had was Kyle Trask. I mean,
that is crazy. That's crazy.
Kyle Trask and Kyle Pitts were one of the best offensive tandems in the country when they were playing. And
that's crazy.
It seems like ever since then, they haven't progressed. They haven't climbed that ladder. Billy Napier isn't it, plain and simple. I'll be extremely surprised if he still has a job.
And I especially after this week, it depends on how they look. They better be. I think the Florida. I think if he drops to Miami, he's totally done. I think this Miami game is do or die. That's why I got it as one of the games to watch. Anyways, yeah. Well, and on the LSU side, can't say enough about LSU. Good teams find a way to win. Even I mean, I really didn't have any. I mean, it was a 13-10 lead. It might as well have been a 21-0 lead because I don't think Florida even had enough offensive capability. I mean, defensively, I know Florida's great. I think Florida's really, really, really damn good defensively. But offensively, I don't know what the heck's going on. They're super inconsistent. That's on Billy Napier. And I think LSU, great teams, find ways to win. Even if your quarterback isn't playing well, they got it done on the ground. I think Kerry Durham had 97 yards or something like that in this game. So, and defensively, LSU hits like a ton of bricks. And so and we saw them turn DJ Lagway over 5 times. So it's LSU's a real player. The SEC is something to watch this year, as it is every year. Next game we got on the slate, Georgia Tech upsetting number 24. The number 20. Georgia Tech upsetting number 12 Clemson at home in Atlanta, 24-21. This one was a buzzer-beating field goal here at the end. As Cade Klubnik, really, that offense is so lethargic right now. 15-26, 207 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. They did have, as a team, 174 yards on the ground and 2 touchdowns. Brian Westco led all receivers on both sides with 126 yards and a touchdown. Haynes King, 20-28, 211 yards, and also 103 yards on the ground and a touchdown. But this one was just a gutsy win for Georgia Tech. And I guess the question is, Clemson, who was the favorite to win the ACC and one of the, national championship contenders, are they in trouble?
Yeah, they definitely are, because let's go back to the beginning. They didn't look all that great against LSU, which is the reason why I picked LSU to win that football game, right? They didn't look all that great against Troy. I mean, they had to climb back into that game. I understand it's not how you start, it's how you finish. But I called it on this show last week. I said, Georgia Tech is beating Clemson because Clemson just doesn't scare me like they used to. When they had Trevor Lawrence and they had those stellar defensive lines, I'm talking Austin Bryant, Cleveland Farrell, guys like that, defensive playmakers across the board. They scared me on both sides of the ball. You knew you had to bring your breakfast plate, your lunch plate, and your dinner plate, because you were going to get an all-out effort from Clemson. Now, they just don't scare me, and they can't run the football. Phil Maffei was a huge part of what they did offensively last year. Randall, he's not bad, but he's a converted wide receiver playing running back. And I know Dabo has made comments about the transfer portal. This is why you use the transfer portal. You fill those needs.
So I totally agree with you, Christian, because of the fact that your 3 former quarterbacks, let's talk about them. Your 3 quarterbacks before Cade Klubnik, was it Trevor Lawrence?
Trevor Lawrence.
Oh, no, DJ. You got DJ Uiagalelei, whatever. Trevor Lawrence, your guys that are in the national champ. Trevor Lawrence, Deshaun Watson, the start with those 2 guys. And then let's not forget Tajh Boyd, who was a hell of a quarterback before Deshaun Watson took over. Yeah. Right? And so those, like, when you look at what Dabo used to have at Clemson, those teams were just like offensively, they came out. You knew like Tajh Boyd was going to bring it. You knew Deshaun Watson was going to bring it. You knew Trevor Lawrence was going to bring it. You knew DJ Uiagalelei was going to throw a pick. We all talk about Cade Klubnik possibly could bring it, but he's looking more like DJ Uiagalelei. So look, this Clemson team doesn't scare me at all either. I agree with you. I think they don't even have running backs that scare me, right? We talked about, guys like, back in the heyday, CJ Spiller and, before, just recently like Trevor Etienne and stuff like that. And so, I know that this kid Randall and who was that? Who's the other kid that's on Will Shipley, right? Who's a hell of a strong runner, right? And you got this guy Adam Randall, who could be a hell of a running back for you. He's a big kid, big guy, but sometimes it seems like you don't commit to him during a game, and it feels like, when you need a play from Clemson and from the main players of Clemson on their offense, they don't show up. Defensively, I think they do show up a little bit, but offensively, they're just not good, and they're just dropping the ball offensively. And I think they need to pick it up really fast, because right now 2 losses. You're going into ACC play. Miami's looking like the team to beat. And right now, I mean, let's just call a spade a spade. You're in trouble of missing the college football playoff. You got Florida State. You don't have to probably worry about Miami to the ACC championship game. That Florida State game, let's circle that game.
I can't wait.
Let's circle that November 8th game right then and there because I want to see what that's going to look like. So we circling that one, okay? And if I'm Clemson, I'm circling that game because I think right now, okay, Clemson, I got Syracuse. I could beat Syracuse. North Carolina, I could beat North Carolina. Boston College, I could beat Boston College. I better beat SMU. I better beat Duke. And so now I go into that game, 5-game winning streak. That's a big game on the schedule. I need to win that game at home.
Yeah, and on the Georgia Tech side, I remember when we did our preview show, and I was telling you, Izzy, Georgia Tech was my sleeper team.
Yeah.
See, and it's because of the playmaking of one guy. You know where I'm going. He goes by the name of Haynes King. I saw him play at Texas A&M, and he keeps the defense on their toes because he can beat you not only as a passer, but he can beat you as a runner. And look, Izzy, we talk during these games all the time on Saturday, and you were getting mad. I think this is the coach in you, and you're like, why the hell is Georgia Tech being cute right now? Put the ball back in the hands of Haynes.
Yeah. Stop being cute and doing the quarterback sneak with your tight end. Come on, man. hey, Christian, I got something for you though.
Let me hear it, man.
Hey, you better know how to play the game if you got 2 last names, and that's Haynes King, baby.
Ooh,
Hey,
that's a bar.
Hey, Mac, what's your thoughts on this game?
I mean, I didn't catch this game, so I was I was working and stuff, but yeah. As we were talking about the Notre Dame being, a 2-loss team right now, Clemson's in big trouble right now.
Yes.
I mean, it's not the fact that they've lost this and the LSU game. I mean, I'm going back to that Troy game. They looked pitiful that game. My God, I was I was scoreboard watching that one when I saw Troy was up like into the second half. I'm like, what in the hell is going on here? They were up double digits too, I believe, like 14-3 or something, or 13, whatever it was. And I'm like, where in the hell is Clemson this year? But yeah, I mean, not much else to that. As I said, I didn't catch this game, but I just wanted to add on to the 0-2 or 1-2 talk. I mean, they talk about blowing teams out. They need to blow Florida State out and be, with that 5-game win streak.
They can't look ahead. They got to take one game at a time.
Yeah.
They got to take one game at a time. But the next 5
but
games.
We can.
Yeah, one weekend at a time. The next 5 games are winnable. This was one of the games I called earlier before, we had a football game, later that day. So I couldn't catch when we all went to like the bar for like a team celebration, I caught the end of Georgia, Tennessee, and then I caught the beginning of Texas A&M and Notre Dame at like 6-7. But I mean, this was one of those games where it was like Georgia Tech was giving Clemson ample opportunity to come away and get some points on the board and move the ball and I mean just like to take it over. And Clemson just wouldn't take it. They wouldn't take it. And it says something about a team's grit and toughness. And this team just lacks grit. They lack toughness. And something that Georgia Tech actually has. They take on the toughness of their head coach. So I totally agree with Christian as Georgia Tech is a sleeper because anytime you got a quarterback like that's a dual threat. And Haynes King is actually a former Texas. We got Texas A&M, the former Texas A&M quarterback. And so he's a guy that he can throw the football. And then when he decides he's a big quarterback, he reminds me a lot of Riley Leonard. A lot of Riley Leonard in him. You know what I'm saying?
He throws the ball a hell of a lot better.
Oh, I don't disagree with you on that one. I don't disagree with you on that one. But hey, Riley Leonard took us to the daddy. I saw a lot of character. Riley Leonard is Riley Leonard. He could have a shirt off my back right now. Okay, because Riley Leonard. I mean, that first drive against Ohio State, I said, "Oh my god, I fucking love this guy. I fucking love this guy." But Haynes King is a hell of a quarterback. He's so tough, man. And I can't wait to see how Georgia Tech kind of keeps it going the rest of the season. Anyways, going into the top 25, some movement here in the top 25. You got Texas A&M moves up in the top 10 at number 16. Relatively, the top three stay the same: Ohio State, Penn State, LSU. Miami moves up a slot. Georgia moves up into the top 25. Oregon moves down. But I assume as they get in the Big Ten play and they, they got the Civil War this weekend against Oregon State, which should be a blowout for Oregon. Florida State continues to climb the ladder, 3 slots into the top 10 at number 7. Texas, man, hey, you know what? I can't let these motherfuckers off the hook. Christian, go ahead and talk about Texas, please, for me.
Oh, Lord. Where you want to start?
Start wherever you want to.
I mean, they were given a championship before they even won it. But let's be real here, Izzy and Matt. They were given the CFP championship trophy before they won it. And the thing that bothers me with the Texas Longhorns is their defense plays so well. Like, you can't ask your defense to put forward a better effort than what we've seen. And this dates back to last season. I mean, I remember the SEC championship game against Georgia last year. Their defense kept them in that game. It was the offense that couldn't capitalize. They even struggled against Arizona State in that second round playoff game. Then they get to the national semifinal game against Ohio State. Again, defense did everything right. Kept Jeremiah Smith in check. Even kept them in check in week 1, their first meeting in Columbus. It's their offense. Once again, they need to run the football a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
Like, give Quintravian Wisener the football. Let that open up the passing lane. And I can't stress it enough. What does the running game do? It draws the defense to the line of scrimmage. You can use play action. You can run RPO. You can move the pocket and let Arch throw the ball with on the run. And you can take shots down the field. But I also think Arch is in his head a little too much because he's hearing all the noise and he's hearing all the chatter. Like, you got to block that out, and you just have to play football, plain and simple. But, yeah, Texas, they are completely underachieving right now.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I love the fact that you brought up the fact that they need to run the ball more and take it off of, take some of the pressure off of Arch. Because obviously the, generational, family thing is getting to him, it seems like, and all the hype and everything. And they're putting it all on him, too. Let your running backs do the work. I mean, the defense is playing top caliber football. You got a game this week at home against Sam Houston. Get your running game going.
Well, they did run the football. They did run they did run it 56 times against UTEP. So we'll say that for 226 yards.
I mean, how many times did Arch run it?
Arch only ran it 9 times. But Quintravian Wisener's been out. He missed the last 2 games with some leg injury. But I think honestly he was a little banged up after Ohio State. And Shark said, San Jose State, UTEP, you ain't got to play. We gonna hold you out. We got enough talent on this team to beat you.
I would rather have Trey for that stretch run in the SEC.
Yeah. This is where I say we not letting Texas off the hook. Arch Manning was 11 of 25 for 114 yards and a touchdown.
Yes, he has to be better.
That shit was trash. I'm sorry. I'm gonna go a spade a spade. You went from being a Heisman, like it was like you ever seen Scooby Doo?
Of course.
Right?
Oh yeah.
And remember the villain always is a scary. And then they take the mask off and it's just some regular guy. That's Arch Manning right now. He's looking like a scary guy. And then they took the mask off and this guy, he's Joe Schmo. This guy don't even deserve to even be in the Heisman rankings. This guy don't even deserve to even be a first round pick next year. He damn near shouldn't deserve to get all them damn commercials. I'll tell you that right now. He don't come from the loins of Peyton and Eli. Okay. He comes from the loins of Cooper. Okay.
You take the mask off and it's Cooper.
Is that right? You think it's Eli. You think it's Cooper.
Yeah.
It's Cooper Manning. I'm sorry. Arch is not playing up to snuff. He needs, I mean, bro, you sat 2 years and watched Quinn Ewers ball out for Texas.
Yeah, and it makes me wonder if Quinn Ewers were playing right now, where would Texas be? I think they'd be undefeated.
They'd be undefeated, number one team in the nation.
I agree.
Easily. And I think there was a reason why Arch didn't commit to Tennessee when Nico committed to Tennessee, even though Nico, a whole nother story from Nico, he ain't on the label. But I think that he was afraid of a little bit of competition. He saw, okay, Quinn Ewers, I can get to sit behind Quinn Ewers for maybe a couple years and I'm going to get the reins. As opposed to, I don't want to go into this class with this other really good freshman quarterback and have to compete with this freshman quarterback to be number one. I just want to be handed this shit. And that's exactly what it feels like. That he wants to get handed the Heisman. He wants to get handed the national championship. He wants to get handed touchdowns. No, bro, you got to go out and earn it. You got to go out and earn the national championship. You got to go out and earn the Heisman Trophy. You got to go out and earn your touchdown and earn your place in terms of college football stardom, and not because of the last name on your jersey. And I think that he has a lot of growing up to do as a football player down there. But when you play UTEP as a team and you only beat them by 17 points, I expect Texas to beat UTEP by 40. Okay. I'm sorry, by 40. I'm being generous when I say 40. God damn it, because we saw Oregon just beat this abomination of an Oklahoma State team and put 60 up on them. And you can't put 40 on UTEP? Come on, man. Let's be real out here. Anyways, moving on. Illinois staying in top. Let's talk about Illinois a little bit. How about that?
Yeah,
Illinois in the top 10. They got a big game. We'll talk. You know what? We'll actually talk about them in the next little slate. At number 10, Texas A&M. I talked about them a little bit. Oklahoma moving up 2 slots. Alabama slowly creeping up, moving into the top 15. Looks like Alabama had kind of shook off that little rust that they had early in the year, dropping the first game of the year. And it looks like Alabama has, dropping the first game to Florida State. And it looks like Alabama has shook off the rust, beating Wisconsin 38-14 in the last game. And they're getting back to physical Alabama type of style play. Ty Simpson was 24-29 last week for 382 yards and 4 touchdowns against a Wisconsin Badgers team that isn't that bad in my opinion. Ryan Williams led them for 165 yards and 2 touchdowns. I mean, this Alabama team in the last 2 games has looked very impressive. It looks like that they kind of have worn the embarrassment of the national media on them, and they kind of went out there and responded the last 2 games.
Yeah, they really did. I want to see what they do this week Well, they're off this week because they got that huge game next weekend, man. I'm already promoting the next show.
You waiting for next week? You moving ahead. See, you ahead of the game. I like that. I like that. That's why you my brother, man.
Come on, brother. Look, Izzy, it's a family thing. You already know.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But nah, man, I can't wait for that game, and I already see 2 shameless plugs for next week.
Oh yeah, no, you right. And I don't blame you for moving ahead. And it's good that Alabama's got a week off because I think they're gonna need it to go against that team in Georgia.
And I mean, look, if you're Georgia, you know Alabama's been your kryptonite. Like that was Kalen DeBoer's signature win last year, punching Georgia in the mouth. And Alabama, to me, is the only team in the country that can give Georgia a taste of their own medicine. Well, Notre Dame did it last year in the Sugar Bowl. I mean, they punched Georgia in the mouth. They bottled up that run, and they said, "Look, Gunner is beating us."
Yeah, absolutely. And then staying at number 15 is Tennessee. Like I said, everybody said that wasn't a bad loss losing to Georgia like that. So you staying put. We don't know where to put you. What really stands out on this list with top 25 teams is Vanderbilt. They moved up 21 slots.
Look, man,
after their upset in South Carolina, 31-7.
And that's not an upset. That's just a beatdown.
That was a beatdown. Yes. Diego Pavio, he was quarterback last year that upset Alabama last year.
Yep.
So he came into South Carolina, he upset South Carolina and blew them off the doors in that game. But yeah, that's a team, and for all purposes, Lenore Sellers, got hurt in that game. Didn't play. So that's something to also kind of look at when you look at South Carolina. Threw off their whole game plan because he got hurt early in that game. He was 6 or 7 for 94 yards, but still, Vanderbilt ended up going in there and smacking them. They move up 21 slots on the record, and then moving into the top 25 is USC. As we'll get to them in a little bit. Well, not in a little bit, but we'll talk about their quarterback Jaden Maiva maybe later on in the show. Moving on to the games to watch, and we got a couple good games to watch this week. As we got number 17 Texas Tech in a Big 12 showdown. This is the Big 12, I think, game. This is like the big game of the week on Fox. At number 17 Texas Tech going into number 16. Utah. And I'll tell you right now, man, they got a guy, Utah's got a dual threat quarterback in Devin Dampier, who sensational this year for Utah, as they're a player in the Big 12. As so is Texas Tech as well. Both teams are undefeated. Both teams have high octane offenses. For them, we already know about Baron Morton, 923 yards, 11 touchdowns, 1 interception, got 70% completion percentage. They're going to throw the ball all the way around the field. Devin Dampier is going to run it. He threw 1 interception last week. 628 yards, 7 touchdowns on the season. He doesn't have an interception so far this year. Sorry about that. But yeah, he's looking phenomenal. He's got over 200 yards rushing on the season as well, or close to 200 yards rushing and a touchdown on the season. And he's literally their offense. Thoughts on this game and who wins?
Yeah, I mean, this will be a fun one to watch. We'll see who Texas Tech really is. I mean, they've had pretty much all home games against pretty much cupcakes. Just going out there, having fun, scoring at will, and doing their thing. I am kicking myself for not calling out Utah in our preseason show to be the Big 12 team. I was questioning the quarterback position, who's going to fill that spot, and It's been answered. Devin Dampier. They were able to bring another dual threat quarterback to fill in the slot, and I'm gonna go with Utah in this one, based on the fact that right tackles is not an easy place to play at. They've got a great student section that brings it every week, every home game. Tough defense, and I feel like they can slow that Texas Tech offense down enough to take control of this one in the second half and show the country who they really are as the team to beat in the Big 12.
Christian.
Izzy, you know what time it is, baby.
Oh, here we go. Here we go.
Matt, I
We're
need you
expecting
too.
this.
I need you
All right.
too. 1, 2, 3.
Shameless plug number 1.
Baby. Yeah, man. I'm looking forward to this one. Matt brought up a good point about Texas Tech and who they beat. I mean, listen, they beat Arkansas Pine Bluff, they beat Kent State, and they beat Oregon State. And I know those are 3 teams that aren't necessarily powerhouses, but what do we always say? You play who's on your schedule and you beat who's on the schedule. You play who's in front of you and you handle your business. And looking at those 3 games, there's a common denominator. They scored 67 in one game. They scored 62 in one game. Then they put up 45. So they've gone above 30 points. And the conductor of this offense is a quarterback by the name of Baron Morton. I can't wait to see this kid play. He's 6'2". He's about 209 pounds, stands tall in that pocket, spreads the ball around. And if you're open and if he trusts you, he's getting you the ball. Hits his receivers in stride. And Texas Tech, they're doing it on both sides of the ball. Offensively, they're averaging 58 points a game. And defensively, they're the second best when it comes to stopping the run. Now, you look at Utah. Izzy, I've always raved about Kyle Whittingham. He gets the best out of his players year in and year out. And even when guys like Cam Rising was out, he still saw guys stepping it up and leaving it on the field. But their offense struggled when Cam left. So what does Kyle do? He hires a new offensive coordinator in Jason Beck. And then who does Jason Beck bring with him? Devin Dampier. Football is a systematic game, and it's all about who knows how to run your system. And Devin Dampier, he's the new QB1. He was a steady presence at New Mexico, and I think everyone is starting to realize who this kid really is. He's a pocket-savvy guy, but he will use his mobility, and he will use his athleticism to his full advantage. And when I look at this game, it's contrasting styles of football. Texas Tech, they want to run it and gun it. They want to stretch the field. They want to go over the top. They want to put the ball in the air. And Utah is one of the best teams at running the football. They average 290 yards a game running the ball. So which style of football is really going to step up and who's going to be more consistent? This is going to be a great game. I preview it tomorrow. Be on the lookout. But, of course, Izzy and Matt get to see it first.
Yeah, absolutely. And, for Devin Dampier, man, he threw 12 touchdowns. He had 31 touchdowns total last year. Guess how many he had on the ground last year for New Mexico, ladies and gentlemen? 19 touchdowns rushing last season.
And you know what?
That's a dual threat quarterback. And this season, he hasn't thrown an interception. Guess what? He had 12 interceptions last year for 12 touchdowns. But he also didn't have the talent like he does around him at Utah. He's got a guy by the name of Ryan Davis who's got 19 catches this year so far for Utah. He's got a big tight end in Dalen Bentley who can really catch the football over the middle and find the zones. They use, Utah utilizes a few, 2 tight end system, 2 wide receivers, but we all know what they want to do, right, Christian? They want to run that football.
Yeah,
that's why they run tight ends.
And to me, Izzy and Matt, there are a couple of things I'm watching in this game. So for Texas Tech, I'm looking at their run defense, and what are they going to do? Can they man up? Who's going to win that battle of the trenches up front? The big uglies, like who's going to dominate the line of scrimmage? That's what I think this game is ultimately gonna come down to. And Texas Tech, they gotta maintain discipline and gap integrity, and they gotta set the edge to contain those big runs. Get to the edge before that running back can break out, and then also Texas Tech, they gotta disrupt. They gotta disrupt Devin Dampier's rhythm. Get pressure on them, and that will do what in turn force mistakes, and you have to attack Utah secondary offensively because they've shown they can be a little vulnerable against the high octane power offenses. And for Utah, lean on your offensive line. Again, this goes back to what I just said. Who can win that battle and that war of the trenches up front? And then I think it's going to be key. Utah has to lean on the dual threat ability of Devin Dampier. Like, yo, use design quarterback runs, use read options that can keep Tech's defense off balance. And man, this is going to be such a great game. Like, this is going to be physical. It's going to be trench heavy, and that's the type of game I love to watch and really break down. Man, I can't wait to release this preview tomorrow.
Absolutely. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pick Utah at home to win this football game. But it's going to be a really good game. I think probably high scoring, but I think whoever has the ball last wins this football game. Utah by a field goal. Matt?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going Utah on this one.
Utah.
Yeah, be close. They'll take over as the game progresses with the home field advantage. And, I mean, Tech's offense will keep it within reach. And, yeah, give me Utah.
Next game we got on the slate, and this is the Big Ten matchup. And usually this one is a very competitive one on the hardwood. But now these two teams are competitive on the gridiron as well. As you got number 9, Illinois, fighting the Illini, going into number 19, Indiana, into Bloomington, Indiana, and going in and playing in Memorial Stadium. This one should be a good one. Both teams are 3-0, led by both of their really good quarterbacks. Luke Altmaier, I talked about him last week a little bit. Both of these quarterbacks are very similar numbers for them. I'm talking about Luke Altmaier on the season, 56-78, 8 touchdowns, no interceptions. And then Fernando Mendoza, the transfer from Cal, 55-76, 9 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, as Indiana and Illinois face each other, in the Big Ten showdown at 6:30 tomorrow. Indiana right now looks to be the favorite in this game, if I'm not mistaken. But games are not played on paper. Games are played in person on the football field. Indiana's a 6.5-point favorite so far. I'm sure Illinois is going to have that chip on their shoulder going into the game, knowing that they're that Indiana's favorite. But who do you guys got winning and why? Christian, I'll start with you.
Man, I love what I'm seeing from Luke Altmaier. He is an absolute dog. So pocket savvy, but extends plays, spreads the ball around to his open receiver, and just has that command and that control of the offense. But this Illinois team, they play exactly as you'd expect under Brett Bielema. He just brings the best out of young men. Illinois, they have another weapon that I really like. Hank Betty. This kid, versatile, can play in the slot, can play wide. He returns kicks, he returns punts, and I want to see how Indiana is going to match up against him. If I'm Indiana, I'm forcing Illinois to run the football because Illinois has such a prolific passing attack, right? I see this game coming down to the fourth quarter, kind of like what you just said about Texas Tech and Utah, who has the ball last, and I think that's going to be Indiana. I like Indiana by a field goal.
Matt.
Yeah, this one will be, another fun one to watch. Tomorrow night, the Big Ten clash. Sorry, losing train of thought here. Give me Illinois. the veteran play and leadership on the road in this one, as they need, you know, this will be a tough one on the road, but I'm going to take Illinois in a close one.
Illinois in a close one. Yeah, I'm actually, Luke Altmaier is a hell of a quarterback. I mean, he doesn't get enough credit for how smooth he is in the pocket. And then on the other side, man, I mean, godly, man, Francisco Mendoza, who was excellent at Cal, is excellent here in Indiana. He's got a wide receiver in Omar Cooper, who's an excellent threat as well. Indiana, both teams are very similar. I mean, really, this is like both teams are literally identical in my opinion. They can run the football. They have two quarterbacks that are really good pocket presence. They have defenses that are really, the defensive lines are really, they play discipline in terms of, gap control. They don't over pursue. Their linebackers are really good. Their defensive backs are solid. So this is a really, really, similar style teams. It's hard for me to pick one. But if I'm going to pick one, I'm actually going to go with Illinois. I think that Illinois has, they have that one guy, and he's 6'3", 250 in Caden Fegan. And I'll tell you something. When you get that man 20 carries and it's the fourth quarter and you're looking up and you're like, damn, they giving him the ball again? Damn, I got to tackle this big motherfucker again? Yeah, they got that type of guy. He's a bruiser of a running back. He'll run over you. He's literally north, south. Ain't nothing about him that's east, west. And I think that he's going to have a big game against Indiana. So give me Illinois to win that football game. I think they'll run the clock a little bit. I think they'll control time of possession, run the football a little bit. I think Luke Altmaier, they'll be real, they'll be real methodical in terms of not trying to go get into a shootout with Indiana, because Indiana is built for a shootout as opposed to Illinois, in my opinion. I don't know how built they are for a shootout, track meet back and forth. You know what I mean? But they have a great offense, but they don't want to get into that mold where it's like you start speeding up the offense, and then you make mistakes, against a team like Indiana. So I think Illinois is going to control time position. They're going to run the football. Give me Illinois to win by probably either a field goal or a touchdown. It's going to be a one-score game, though. Next game we got on the slate, we got Florida going into number 4 Miami. And the only reason I have this on the slate is because I want to talk about if DJ Lagway can bounce back from his 5 interception game, and is this the game that that Florida gets off the snide and hopefully saves Billy Napier's career as a Florida Gator head coach, as Miami is favored by 7.5 points in this game. Is there any hope that Florida can win this football game in Miami? What do they have to do to beat a top 5 team in Miami? This would be a big win for that program this season. They really, really, really needed to get back on track.
Yeah, they really do need to get back on track. And when you're a road team, you want to throw the first punch. So when they're in the red zone, they got to capitalize. That's the problem right there. Just leaving points on the table. They did that against South Florida a couple of weeks ago, and it ended up costing them. Like, defensively, Florida's not bad. You said it best. We saw some of that talent on display across the board last week in Baton Rouge. But, this crowd's going to really be into it. Florida, man, this is a must-win game for them. They cannot afford to go 1-3 because if they go 1-3, I honestly think Billy might get the Herm Edwards treatment. Izzy, we talk about all the time. Miami,
he just fucking might.
But Miami, I've been so impressed with them because they're getting quality play from Carson Beck. He looks rejuvenated. He's taking great care of the football. He has confidence, and Miami's offense hasn't missed a beat. It may not be as explosive as what it was last year with Cam Ward, but they're connecting with the receivers. Guys are scoring touchdowns. And how about Mark Fletcher Jr.?
Oh man,
he is the real deal. And just imagine if he decided he wanted to run through people. Oh my God!
Yeah,
but
hey Christian, he's another one.
Yeah,
15, 20 carries, fourth quarter. Damn, they giving him the ball.
I'm telling you,
225. Damn, they giving him the ball. Oh my God, I'm beat the fuck up.
But
they giving him the ball again.
Miami to me is doing it on both sides of the football, and Mario Cristobal has them playing with the utmost confidence. But I could see this Miami team coming in with like that underdog mentality. I do think Miami wins this game, but Florida could keep it interesting.
Yeah, absolutely, Matt.
I love the fact that you brought up the whole Herm Edwards treatment, especially with the fact that Billy Napier was at ASU as a coordinator right before Herm Edwards got there. So he'll be getting similar treatment here after this game, I believe. I mean, the only way Florida has a chance is if their defense keeps them in this game again, just like they did last week against LSU and Death Valley. But DJ Lagway cannot turn the ball over 5 times like he did last week. He cannot turn it over once. I mean, Miami is playing with a lot of confidence, a lot of swagger, a lot of passion. I mean, Griswold brought Miami U back. Like, this team is playing at a top championship level right now. And I don't think Florida stands much of a chance in this one. They'll keep it within reach if they can smack them in the mouth early on, but Miami's going to pull away. We got the good Carson Beck, playing this season, and I'm taking Miami by double digits in this one. And yeah, Napier's days in Florida are done.
That's interesting. So one thing I will say, this Florida team, they are big, fast, and physical on that defensive line. And one thing that I do want to say is that if they can get home on Carson Beck, like he has to be in rhythm all game. Because if Florida decides, okay, we got a guy in George Gums, he used to play, and he's from Simeon too, by the way. He used to play at NIU. Now he's starting for Florida last 2 years, right? They got another kid in Brandon Betts. They got another kid in what's his name? Tariq Sapp, is like their superstar type of guy, right? They got another guy, right, in Cameron James. Big guys. I mean, they're all over 6'4", 6'5", can run 4.5, 4.6 40s. And these guys are super, like just freaks, lab made. You know what I mean? And they can really get to it. This is why they keep Florida in football games, right? They have a great defense, in my opinion. I mean, they're all over the football field. But at the end of the day, yes, Matt, you are right. You cannot beat yourself offensively. You cannot do it. 5 interceptions. That is really, really, really just that's uncalled for. You cannot do that. And I think Florida really has to look at themselves in the mirror and say, do we want to be just another, 7-8 win ball club, or do we want to start our road to the CFP by winning the next, 10 game or 9-10 games, right? Or whatever the case, 9 games, right? Because they have to really win out. You don't really see 3-win ball clubs make it, teams make it to the CFP. So they really have to get on their horse and win this week. But I don't think it's going to happen. I think Miami is just too good. I think they play more connected. I think Carson Beck is going to be in rhythm. I think it's going to be a close game. It's going to be a close game, but I think offensively, Florida they're just clocked out, man. They checked out. And I think, Billy Napier's voice does not travel it hasn't. I think he's never really traveled well on any of his teams, in my opinion. I think it's over. The party's over. Okay, you've brought in transfers. You got your recruiting class. You got the number one quarterback. You got your quarterback. You got this. You got that. You set up your defense. It's great, but you're not making any progress as a football team. You're not. You're just good on the cusp. We got talent, but we're not turning that into greatness and taking it to another level. It'll be different if it's like Christian said. If you had another ball coach like Kenny Dillingham, golly, don't let Urban Meyer get back in Florida with this. Because Urban Meyer get on this team, I promise you they undefeated. And so and I'm pretty sure Urban Meyer have a bunch of dudes that ain't supposed to be playing football. Some dudes that probably should be at JUCO playing for Florida. But that's neither here nor there. But just a little tweak in like just the leadership and the vote and just a different voice at Florida. I think that's what they need. Especially most of this team could come back next year. Most of this team is probably gonna come back next year. And do we really want to go forward with Billy Napier as the head coach? I don't think so. So I got Miami winning this ball game as well. On to the game of the week, in my opinion, and this one should be a dandy as we got War Eagle going in to Oklahoma. And we're talking about the Auburn Tigers, the number 22 Auburn Tigers, going into number 11 Oklahoma in Norman, Oklahoma, and facing John Mateer and those Oklahoma Sooners, Brent Venable and that whole defense down there. And what's crazy is you got another quarterback for Auburn who's been playing very well as well, and Jackson Arnold, right? Former transfer from Oklahoma. So this is he's going back into OU, and he's trying to get a little revenge here in this game. Both teams are really talented so far this year. I think both teams have a little bit of an edge. Oklahoma, I think, might be the better team with the better resume so far this year. But I'll start with Christian. Who do you think wins this game and why?
Yeah, I previewed this game on Tuesday. If anybody knows what Jackson Arnold wants to run, it's one man, Brent Venables. Yeah, I really like what I've seen from Oklahoma, especially John Mateer. He's been, I think, the most impactful transfer quarterback in the country. He has such command of that offense. And, watching Oklahoma now kind of reminds me of how they were with Baker Mayfield, with Jalen Hurts, and how they were with Kyler Murray, high-flying offense, and they're beginning to run the football a little bit more. And I've been really impressed with Auburn. Auburn, to me, they're off to one of their better starts in recent memory. Auburn hasn't won a national championship since the 2010 season, and I know they haven't been in a national championship since they met Florida in the 2013/14 national championship. But Auburn has a weapon, and I can't wait to see what Oklahoma is going to do to try and limit him. And he goes by the name of Eric Singleton Jr. He is not the biggest wide receiver, but he plays like he's about 5'10", 5'11", and he was bought here for his ability to produce in the red zone. He's quick in and out of his cuts, catches the football, and he's great with it after the catch. You don't see these things nowadays. And Auburn wants to run the football as well. So just kind of want to see how Auburn's going to try to come in and silence that crowd. But I just think across the board, Oklahoma has way too much for Auburn. And I think I could see Oklahoma winning this game by 2 touchdowns.
Ooh.
All right. Yeah, Oklahoma was one of my teams that I had as the dark horse in the SEC, and they've stepped up to the plate so far. And with, as Christian said, the transfer Mateer has been playing fitting right in with them. I love, you know, what Auburn's bringing. I mean, they got a great running back in Jeremiah Cobb, who's producing for them. But I'm gonna go with Oklahoma at home in this one. I just feel like they're playing, Oklahoma football again and getting things going. And I'm going to take Oklahoma by or not two touchdowns, by 10, two scores.
Mm, Yeah, looking at this game, Oklahoma's favored by 6.5 points. And yes, if there is a coach that is going to, I think they're on a bit of a run here. Oklahoma is a team that really a lot of SEC folks never even gave a chance to even do anything in the SEC, yet alone win this season. And they're shocking everybody, especially John Mateer. I know he's thrown 3 interceptions, but he's looked very, good in the pocket. Some of those interceptions aren't even his fault. Tip balls or whatever, missed run routes. But he's good in the pocket, getting outside the pocket. He's got some wheels. He's a guy that could be a difference maker against his team. Jackson Arnold has been quiet as kept, pretty solid for Auburn as well. And yeah, I do like Eric Singleton Jr. as well. He's a guy that had a solid career to start his career at Georgia Tech in that offense. Very fast, very good route runner, and he can trust the field a little bit too and get in those little pockets. But I do like Oklahoma to win this football game at home, especially against a SEC power, so to speak, and Auburn. I know they'll come in. Auburn will come in. Jackson Arnold will come in very hyped, wanting to win this football game. But I do think it is going to be a close game. I think it'll be in between 3 and 6 points. I don't think 2 touchdowns like Christian says. But I think Oklahoma will win by at least in between 3 to 6 points. I like that spread of minus 6.5, like a touchdown or so. Probably if they have they have the ball tied up or just down a couple points. I like John Mateer to put together a drive to put them in a position to win the football game. And moving on to the upset my upset of the week is actually involving another SEC team, as I got Tulane upsetting Ole Miss. And yes, I remember, I think it was last year, these two teams met in Tulane. And I think it was a pretty close game. If I'm not mistaken, I think I was, tweeting out or I was texting you guys. I was like, Lane Kiffin up to his old damn tricks again, because Tulane was moving the ball solidly on Ole Miss. And then, they somehow, some way, defensive players started getting cramps and falling down on the field and causing stops and play, right? It's an old trick in the book right there. And I think I said, man, that shit needs to stop. That should be a penalty because Tulane was moving the ball on them. But they're 3-0. Tulane's 3-0. And they got a guy in Jake Retzlaff. And if you know who Jake Retzlaff is, he is the old quarterback at BYU last season. He had a great career to start his career at BYU. So far this year, he's got 2 touchdowns throwing the football. He's got 6 touchdowns on the ground. He's got great command of this offense. And then on the other side, you have it was Anthony Simmons, Austin Simmons, I'm sorry, who has looked shaky in this offense so far this year. I know that Ole Miss can run the football with Kawan Lacey. They also got Harrison Wallace, who's a hell of a threat on the outside, transfer from Penn State. But I like Tulane to go into Ole Miss and shock these Rebels and become a rebel themselves. Right now, the spread is 11.5. But I like Jake Retzlaff. If anybody knows, man, Jake Retzlaff is a guy that, he's got grit. He's a hell of a quarterback, and he's got some upsets on his belt from last year playing at BYU. He was, probably one game away, right? He lost to Kansas, a hot Kansas team, And then last year he lost at Arizona State. Arizona State was just on a mission, but that game was even close, 28-23. And then we all know what he did in the bowl game against Colorado, 36-14. He was, that team beat them even though he threw 2 interceptions. But yeah, Jake Retzlaff, has some wins under his belt, some big wins, and I like him to get another big win this week. And then another, I didn't put it out there, but another upset I think I got on the books here is I like Nebraska to beat Michigan. Yeah.
So let's hear it. Why do you think Nebraska beats Michigan? Let's talk about this.
Let's talk about why Nebraska beats Michigan. I think right now Dylan Raiola is playing great football so far this year. I mean, he's really accurate with the football. 8 touchdowns. He's got no interceptions so far. He's top 20 in the nation in QBR. Big quarterback. Obviously, he gets a lot of flack for trying to be like Pat Mahomes a lot. Social media, they really don't care. But right now, I mean, at home, I mean, this is as 50-50 as a game can get. And they're Michigan's it's pretty much even right now. And I'll tell you right now, man, Nebraska can run the football with Emmett Johnson as well. They're very similar teams. But I think when it comes down to it, quarterback play is going to play a big part in this game for Nebraska winning it. I did like what they did, what Michigan did last week. They opened up the offense a little bit, right? For Bryce Underwood going up against Central Michigan, right? He was 16-25, 235 yards. He had 114 yards on the ground, 2 touchdowns. They were able to get him outside the pocket. You can see that athleticism. They were supposed to dominate like they were supposed to against a lesser opponent, and they did. And Michigan got back on track with their offense. Justin Haynes looks amazing. But at home on the road with the 3-time, and I say 3-time undisputed champ Bud Crawford walking them out this weekend, I got Nebraska winning against Michigan.
I'm going to agree with you, Izzy, because I think this is going to be a tough environment for Bryce Underwood. Look outside. He couldn't handle Oklahoma. And I think these fans in Lincoln are going to be a little more rowdy. And, man, Nebraska, they play hard for Matt Rule. I agree with you, and I like Michigan, but I just don't know which version of Bryce Underwood is going to show up because he's put up big numbers against not the best opponents, but you saw what happened when he goes into Norman. He really struggled, but for Michigan to have a chance, they really need to establish Justice Haynes. This is the guy that the offense needs to travel through.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with the I saw the upset when you put it the screen up with Tulane over Ole Miss. I was looking at that and had that one too. Tulane's my preseason pick to be in the college football playoff.
Yes, sir.
Over Boise with the Red Slav, transferring there. The kid's a competitor.
Yeah.
I mean, you brought up the ASU game last year when he was with Boyd or Brigham Young. ASU was up by 2-3 scores. He brought them back and nearly won that game at Sun Devil Stadium or Mountain America Stadium, whatever it's called now. Still getting used to that. But I'm going to bring one up that may not have been an upset if Lenore Sellers did not get injured. And I mean, Vanderbilt went at South Carolina last week and owned that game.
Mm-hmm.
So who knows what would have happened with Sellers in there. Maybe he could have, brought them back. Maybe not. But going into Mizzou and Columbia with the 3-0 Missouri team that's now ranked, playing good football, I have South Carolina going in there with the chip on their shoulder after last week. Lenore Sellers got cleared to play, and him bringing home a victory for South Carolina in that one, in a close one.
Oh, I like it. Christian, who do you have as an upset?
I'm
Since we
agreeing.
all doing upsets.
I mean, look, Izzy, I'm agreeing with you. There's something about this Nebraska, Michigan, because I trust Dylan Raiola a little bit more right now than I do Bryce Underwood. And
Absolutely.
look, if this game were at the big house, I'd look at you like you were crazy. But
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
game is in Lincoln, and those fans are gonna be into it. And like you said, Bud is leading them out. So yeah, man, I'm going Nebraska over Michigan. I think Nebraska can make this an ugly football game. And I don't know if Michigan's defense has an answer for Dylan Raiola. And if you know anything about a Wink Martindale defense, what does he like to do? He loves to throw a lot of different looks at you, and he loves to blitz. But Dylan's going to get rid of that ball quickly to neutralize that pressure.
Super quick. He's gonna get rid of that ball super quick. So some good games here in week 4, and then our Heisman rankings right now. Carson Beck's at the top of the list with John Mateer second. Gunnar Stockton just looking like the second coming of Stetson Bennett there at Georgia. He moves up to number 3. Still at number 4, Dante Moore. And then moving all the way up into the top 5 is Marcel Reed. Keep an eye on that kid as he continues to progress for Texas A&M. He can move up the boards depending on how those other guys are. Dante Moore, when they get into Big Ten play, that's when you'll really start to see how good he is with Oregon. But I think him and Dan Lanning. I mean, Dan Lanning's such a between him and what's his name? Not Cliff Kingsbury, but Godley, the USC's head coach.
Lincoln Riley.
Lincoln Riley. Between him and Lincoln Riley, they're like quarterback gurus down there on the West Coast, right? So my dark horse is Jeremiah Smith. Obviously, he comes back. You could probably even throw Ryan Williams in there. Maybe I wouldn't say Ty Simpson just yet, but Ryan Williams showed up well, last week. But Jaden Maeva of USC has looked very well so far this season. He's a guy that, like I said, Lincoln Riley, is a quarterback guru, and this is a kid that is playing really good football. Can sling it with the best of them. 989 yards. He has the best QBR, guys. He has the best quarterback rating in all of college football. That's no cap. 94.3 is his quarterback rating. QBR. 989 yards passing, 6 touchdowns. He's big. He's strong. He's athletic. And he's a guy that he started his career at UNLV, transferred to USC. Last year was a bit of a a feel out moment for him. Upper competition. But I mean, this kid, he's standing tall in the pocket. He's completing 68% of his passes. He's got USC as the top 25. He's actually become like a red zone type of runner, like a red zone threat when it comes to being a runner. With using that, cute quarterback read. I mean, every quarterback has to have that in the arsenal in college football, in my opinion. But man, this kid Jaden Maeva, watch out for him. He's the next good quarterback or great quarterback that Lincoln Riley's going to have on his hands. And I'm gonna look into the future. I'm gonna tell you something. Hey, Matt James, you gotta see this kid Jonas Williams from Lincoln Way East when he comes here to Naperville and faces Naperville North.
I'm there. Let me know.
We got to, because he's the next one in 3 years. Hey, I'm gonna tell you right now, Christian.
Am I gonna have to come out there for this?
Come on.
Hey, I'm telling you, look, Joe, bro. I'm telling you, bro. This kid is the next great league. Bro, this kid is the next great quarterback in 3 years, bro. We're gonna be on this show. We're gonna be on this show talking about how good Jonas Williams is in college football for USC.
October 17th. I got it.
I promise you, bro. You can't miss football, bro. When you go out there and watch that kid playing football at the high school level, he's a man amongst boys. Can't nobody, bro. Look, let me tell you something. Lincoln Way East looks like a man amongst boys, anyways. Right now,
yeah.
The way they playing football. But if there was one game, right, and there was one quarterback that can in the state of Illinois that can give East St. Louis some go and Mount Carmel some go this year, it's him. I promise you, because Mount Carmel got like 4 or 5-star guys. You guys know that, right? They have like 4 or 5-star guys that are sophomores and juniors right now.
Oh, Jordan Lynch is getting them boys pretty much tallying up right one after another
nationally. And I'm kind of going off the rails here, but I'm just saying, like, when it comes to like quarterback gurus, we all know how good Lincoln Riley and Dan Lannon are, and Jaden Miami is another guy. And I just got to look to the future in my crystal ball and say, Jonas Williams from Lincoln Way. He's a great quarterback at USC. In 4 years, he'll be a first-round pick in the NFL. Just saying. Anyways, that's the College Football Show. Thanks for watching College Football Show, now presented by Prime Sports World. Please like, share, and subscribe to the podcast. And make sure to catch Christian's article an hour before it shows out. And that is for the Texas Tech Utah game. So you guys don't want to miss that. But anyways, guys, I'm your host, Israel Rivera. That's Christian Simpson from Daily Blitz Blog, and that's Matt James. And before I let go, in case I missed you guys, good afternoon, good evening, good morning now, and good night.
Oh man, look, it's 1 o'clock in the morning in New York City / New Jersey, and I don't care. I'm still catching that thing off the backboard. Because Izzy just threw it to me just for me to say, holla at your boy.
Yes, sir. Peace out, guys. See you later.
Good weekend.
We'll see you guys on Monday, baby. Peace out.